Okay, we are live at 7:01.
I never once hit that, but
You,
whatever. Go ahead.
you wanted to. Roll call,
Parker here.
Rashad here. Right. Minutes of May 22nd.
Good old Jay signing.
Have you had a chance to read them?
I did.
Yeah, I did too. I make a motion that we accept the minutes as written.
I second.
Okay.
All in favor?
All right. Aye.
Aye.
Yeah. Public session. Anybody have anything that's not on the agenda they want to discuss? Okay, number 4, West Sterling T-ball field, unapproved plan changes.
All right, good evening, board members. I'll just give you a brief timeline of kind of what's gone on in the last couple of months, and then you guys can discuss. So on March 13th, the Gibbs Little League attended the select board meeting to propose a new T-ball field in the current open area, was formerly referred to as the dog park at the West Sterling Field Complex. Select board approved it. And so let me kind of I'll go through the items. So that what they proposed is what you have in this attachment right here. So this is what was provided.
All right.
The select board approved it, provided that the conversion was endorsed by the DPW. So I attached the minutes from that meeting. You can see how that was written from the select board. So the league reached out to us, myself, on March 19th via email, and I have attached that email exchange at the request of select board. They wanted to run it through the DPW. So while looking at the plan, myself and the recreation director realized that the plan was different than the one that was presented at select board. The major difference was a addition of a fence in the outfield. So if you can picture West Sterling, there's currently 2 fields, but there's existing 2 fields. The outfields kind of converged on each other. This third field would also be pointing to the same central area of the triangles. I had initially objected to it, A, because it wasn't on the original plan, and B, I felt it could be a safety concern. And I told them that if there were changes, which included that fence and some kind of vehicle barrier along Holden Road, because the old fence was being removed, they should go back to the select board for, approval, because that's how they originally went through. Unfortunately, the fence was installed by the league on April 26th. So the select board, after hearing about that unapproved plan change, they called the league to their meeting on May 14th. I don't believe the league attended. After which point they wrote the attached letter, which is in your packet, requesting that the matter be taken up with this board. So that's this letter right here, dated May 23rd, 2024, from the select board to them. And it says the DPW board will place this matter on their next agenda. I did invite them tonight. I know it says please have a representative available. They said they could not make it. But I also added, so just some photos of what it looks like now to your packets. Those didn't go out last week. I included those today. So I think the matter at hand is, your thoughts on the fence as installed, concerns, how you want to move forward with it. I'm happy to answer as many questions as I can about it, but that's kind of the matter at hand.
Andy, seeing that you've had a long history with the rec board over the years in your involvement, I really wanted to hear your take on this.
Well, I wanted you to go first, but okay.
Okay. I don't mind going first.
No, that's well, whatever. Go ahead.
All right. First of all, I think the discussion really has to be about the fence. All right, we're just talking about the fence. I'm a little confused as to why we're, as the DPW board, in an enforcement position with this. It seems a little weird to me that the select board wouldn't handle this, since it was basically something they approved. Our job is to take care of the fields and the fences and whatever. And our feedback is important, but I'm wondering why it's been thrown in our lap. Because we had plan review, we did not approve the fence. They went ahead and put the fence in anyway. If you do a correlation, say that somebody approves a site plan with a little drawing of a potential building site, and you show up and somebody built the building, I mean, that's basically somewhat of a correlation here. It wouldn't be up to the DPW to say, well, your driveway was installed correctly, but the building has to come down. It would be up to the building people or a different department. So I'm a little confused as to why this is in front of our board.
It was requested, I mean, that's.
Okay, but I wouldn't.
I know, I mean, I know maybe it's because I'm the one who objected to it initially in the email. You know, that's the best I got for that answer.
Okay. Your turn.
All right. So right off the bat, I'm gonna answer your two questions. Why are we under enforcement? Because the plan was brought to the select board and reviewed by Ryan. It was approved and they went over and above the approved plan.
Right.
And did additional work, additional additions that were not approved. At some point, Ryan objected to it, and I'll get to that in a minute.
Okay.
It was thrown in our lap because the select board, and I'm going to try to make this short. We got a lot of stuff to deal with. It's actually more important, but anyways, it was thrown in our lap because the select board asked Gibbs to send their president, a representative, somebody, because it was on their agenda. And apparently they were too busy to show up. So if you get a speeding ticket and you attest it and then you don't show to court, what happens? You get fined. Well, they didn't get fined, they get thrown on us. That's why it's here.
All right.
And it's also a DPW matter because it involves fields, structures, whatever.
Maintenance. Yes, I
Maintenance, longevity, blah, blah. So that should answer your two questions. Now, I'm gonna throw my 2 cents in.
That's what I want.
I know why Ryan objected to it. It's a safety issue. I have played in facilities that are set up like this, and somebody will get hit in the back of the head with a ball because you're facing, if you're observing T-ball, you have the majors in back of you that can clearly hit over the fence. It's stupid. It shouldn't be there. However, they did a great job. They do a great job with that facility. It looks beautiful.
It's a nice fence.
So the big question is moving forward, what do we do? It shouldn't have been there to begin with, but the horse is already out of the barn. What do we do with it? I don't like it because it's a safety issue and it's a liability. Am I prepared to rip it out? No. Am I prepared to make them rip it out? No. So moving forward, what do we do? I like these pictures. I have a million of my own pictures, and I spent a Saturday morning there when nobody else was there, and I think first and foremost, we'll just leave the fence alone. It's a beautiful little thing, but it's still a safety hazard. I think at minimum, there should be some signs put up, and I'm going to torture Ryan on this with the wording, the final wording.
Okay.
But I think there should be some signs put up. Stand here at your own risk, enter this at your own risk. What? watch for flying balls behind you.
So that sign is there. There's a picture of it.
Oh, there is?
Yep, so that's in the middle. But the just says, it says warning, watch for flying balls.
Yeah,
So that's a start.
So that's the start.
Yeah.
I think the sign should say a little bit more, enter at your own risk. I also think there should be a gate put up. If you're standing on 62 looking at it, I believe it's
To the right.
to the right-hand side, the big opening. Because one of the fears I have, if young children are there and you have that open spot and they are allowed to run in and out willy-nilly, how do you control that? I just don't want to see somebody get hurt. I don't want to kick a dead horse, but again, I've played at facilities that are constructed like this and it's horrible. When you hear the clink of a bat, you're automatically looking, and the people that don't look are the ones that get hit. So I believe that there should be a gate installed to the right-hand side to somewhat distract spectators from entering that area. I don't think it's a place for small children. We can't police that.
right. It's a policeman.
But if you have signs, and I think it has to be, we don't need a sign with a million words, but at your own risk, watch for flying balls. I would resort to letting you come up with the word.
Bill, with the right phrasing.
Between you and
Yeah.
Bill, the correct wording. And I know there's been speak of 30 days, blah, blah, blah. The wording has to, you have to come up with the wording. It takes to sign people a little bit to make time, I don't know. You tell them 45, 60 days, they have to do something. They just can't leave it the way it is.
Right.
Moving forward, this can never happen again.
Well,
But that's a discussion for, I don't want to get you going.
no, no, I
Discussion for a different day.
don't really wanna, the precedent is a bad precedent.
It is.
And,
This is a very bad precedent.
And it's.
And this cannot and will not happen again on town property.
Right.
But that's a discussion for a different day. We have to deal with the fence at hand.
Agreed. So we're leaving the fence. I move that we leave the fence. That we allow the fence to stay under protest. Okay, that, and concerned that these parents are raising their children to disrespect laws. All right,
I don't know
think that
as
that's
far as laws, but
regulations. I mean, they knew what they were doing. It was a lack of respect for the town. They did something on town property that showed a lack of respect. That being said, they did a nice job of the fence. And we have to acknowledge that. And Andy wants a gate there. I'm all for that. And if we need more signs, I'm all for that. And we'd like it all done within the next 60 days. How's that?
I did also, I'm gonna note that, and maybe while we're talking about this, because it does kind of fall under a plan change that has yet to be approved. The area along Holden Road, so I think this is the minor field that runs along Holden Road. It used to have a fence, that fence is gone.
Yep.
What do you folks think would be a good permanent vehicle deterrent for that area? We kicked around boulders, we kicked around split rail fence. This is a question that they had asked us that we never really closed the loop on.
I actually sent an email to them saying that
'Cause they need
it was
to-
something they need to go back to the select.
They need
board
to finish the project.
Right.
There's still some
But that
dirt
was like only a
piles.
second phase is what
Right.
I told them. It should
So
be.
I guess while I have you guys on this topic, when it comes across my desk, what do you guys have a vision of what is?
So I have not been up. I rode over, stayed on 62
Yeah.
to look at the fence. I've not been up Holden Road since sometime early last summer. What else is in the area? Split rail,
I
guardrail.
think it's all chain link.
It's all chain.
Up along the minor field, and then it used to be chain all the way to the corner, which was the dog park. that got removed when they did as part of the field project.
There's a 4-foot gate to get into the dog park, and there's a double gate inside the minor league field to get into the dog park.
Right, right. So that field, so, and I don't need to know the answer tonight, but maybe take another ride by,
Okay,
see what you think. This is more of a vehicle deterrent for prevent people from driving on the grass to get closer to the field or find more parking.
My
or whatever.
initial response without driving over there would be chain link with the flexible pipe on top.
Okay, like
But-
open?
There's a name for it and it slipped my
Coping,
mind.
right?
But what he put down on field
This
one,
stuff, the yellow stuff.
yes, yes,
Yep.
that would be my initial response
Just
without
back to
looking
shape.
at it,
Okay.
because that fits the area of the program.
right. So it sort of maintains the same fence.
Okay.
My gut reaction is I know one of the people who live across the street on Holden Road. It's a parking issue there as well.
Yeah.
So they definitely need to have some separation for the vehicles. And it gets to the point sometimes where you're driving out of Holden Road and you can't see who's coming on Princeton Road because of the way people park. That's an issue.
This isn't gonna fix that,
Nope.
unfortunately,
It isn't,
you know.
but of the Boulder might. So I'll throw that out.
Mm. We're really just trying to keep people from driving on
On
the
the
grass.
On the grass. Well, then the fence is probably, but every fence adds a maintenance issue, doesn't it?
It was already there.
Right, that fence was there for. since I
Yeah, but
was
now we
little
got a
kid.
whole pile more fence.
And now there's no fence? But
Right. Well, how do you cut all that grass with fences?
That's
Oh,
right.
there is a
Right?
Justin
Well, you still,
Center.
so if it's not accessible, you still need a gate, and I'll refer to Jeff on how wide that gate should be
Right.
Right.
to get the mower that he wants to use onto that field. I don't think it needs to be for that, our new monstrosity.
Doesn't have to be a 12-foot. 6 feet,
Uh-huh.
the double gate,
All right.
double swing, that's what everything
Well-
else is there.
Well,
Plus the
again,
mobile
without,
home, so,
without driving by, I think to fit the rest of the outlay is chain link with the yellow stuff, the plastic on
Like
top.
double, just like every.
But a gate, there has to be a gate, so
Yes.
you can get in there.
Yep.
You're not gonna do that with a push mower.
come on.
That might.
Okay,
So that,
yeah, I just wanted to get that by.
That's my opinion.
Topic.
Okay,
Appreciate it.
so we on to
Can I
number,
throw one at that, you guys?
Sure.
In that triangle,
Which triangle are you referring to?
triangle, the 3 fields meet.
Yeah.
Where the fence is.
Where the stone is?
An idea that I saw that they did with the minor league, with the T-ball field, that I thought wouldn't be a bad idea. They put up, it's like a portable net for the backstop to catch,
So they don't go at
Foul
62, yeah, so the fouls don't go at 62.
yeah. It looked like it was relatively inexpensive. If they put that over the fields right there, just to encompass it, it's like 8 or 10 feet tall. Kids probably aren't gonna hit it much higher than that. And that would stop anything. There would not be somebody getting hit by a ball if that was in place.
Not a bad idea.
I can ask them for like a feasibility of that, see how that's an option that, I haven't seen that, laid eyes on that backstop myself, but it sounds like it would work. And like you said, it's a little league field. If they're hitting over the fence, they're just clearing the fence.
Right.
You know what I mean?
They're not dropping it in
Yeah.
at
Right.
230 feet.
Right.
good job.
Or 125 for the T-ball kids.
Well,
Be quite the rock.
I'm not worried about people getting hit. with the T-ball
That
field.
was a slugger.
Right.
Well, all it takes is one.
That's, I believe that's a pretty good idea.
Yeah.
But I don't know the feasibility. I think that's something we should look at.
Okay.
So are we done with 4? Okay, 5, Hillside Cemetery Lot Exchange.
All right, so, this is a pretty procedural
Yeah.
thing I'm looking for you guys. Miss Blue bought 2 lots back in the fall of 2023. The family then decided that more folks would like to be buried together, so they wanted to purchase 4 more lots in a different area, as there were not 2 open lots adjacent to the one she already owned, I believe. So our cemetery rules and regs, section 1, number 4 states that no individual can own more than 4 lots. So Ms. Booth would like to exchange the 2 lots she purchased initially for 2 different lots adjacent to another 2 lots that she owned. Follow that? So again, the lots were purchased at our current purchase price. It's simply a paperwork exchange, returning or a deed, creating a new deed. So essentially, you went from owning 2 lots to owning 4 lots, and now we're going to change the other 2 to 2 different lots. Pretty straightforward. It's just something that requires board approval to do. Does that make sense?
I don't have a problem.
I have no issue whatsoever.
I make a motion, we allow this to happen. So it's just what we've done.
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we did.
Oh, I
So
second the
we
motion.
just
Then
moved.
aye, sorry.
And whatever.
Got ahead of myself.
Okay, so that's done.
All
Yep.
set.
Okay, now we're on project.
We'll start the paperwork process and generally in touch with you.
Yeah,
Okay.
All right.
was that
Thank you
easy?
very much.
You didn't want to talk to us about it?
There you
Thank you for coming in.
I've seen you since you were a little boy.
I like that. So we're on project update.
Babysit me.
Really?
Mhm.
How did you look so old and she looks so young?
Relax.
Giving you a hard time. That's
All right, so if you didn't notice, I actually revamped the project update a couple different ways. First, I changed the names of the columns. So what it used to say is item, status, and change from previous update. So what I changed it to is item, status, and next steps. I think it makes more sense. A lot of these items are items that kind of linger for some time. That's why they're on here. You know, and I just thought that having the next steps was made a little bit more sense than the change from the previous update. So I also added a large number of projects as we are turning into FY25. So it has a lot of new projects on here. So I'll start with the DPW facility. As you guys know, we selected our last 2 candidates. I passed those names on to the select board, but unfortunately, in the meantime, our FinCom rep, Paul Austin, has resigned from the FinCom. So they now need to select another member. I would like your opinion on something. I was asked by one of the members if we would consider changing the wording to not just FinCom, but FinCom and or Capital Budget Committee. Most of the people are the same. There's a couple of people who are on one or the other. I think, honestly, out of the 7 members on each, there's maybe 2 that are only on one or the other. This is something the select board is going to entertain as well. And I know the finance committee is going to entertain as well. I wanted to get your guys' opinion if you thought it mattered. If it just said FinCom or if it said FinCom and Capital Budget Committee, because we can easily make that change.
I don't.
Just opens the pool up a little bit more.
Right. I don't think it matters.
Do you have an issue with it?
No.
Okay. So we'll be working on getting that last member. Once all members are appointed by the select board, we'll set up a meeting and kind of go from there. The first meeting I expect there, we'll obviously be able to organize that board, the chairman, vice chairman, whatnot, and then I would plan to bring Weston and Sampson in to kind of bring everyone up to speed on what we've done so far and how this process tends to work. As far as scheduled road work goes, we have binder down on our spring roads, Ridgewood, Hastings, Westland Farm, and Roper. They did structures yesterday. They should be doing berm end of the week. Driveway aprons are already prepped in. I would say top would be next week or the week after which point they'll top in all the driveways and those roads will be in pretty good shape. Moving right along up there. Frats, we are working very diligently on frats. We are 25% of the way through our DOT permitting process and at the very beginning stages of our railroad permitting process. To permit the railroad they need $25,178 up front in the form of a check, at which point they will begin their review of the plans, and then they will give us whatever money back they don't spend. Not really an item that can be contested. So, you know, we're gonna do what we gotta do. I'm waiting till FY25 to cut that check. But we're diligently working on frats. I'm starting to get to the point where I might shift gears a little bit. I might try to take it in some chunks. Maybe focus on Route 12 to the tracks and at least try to get that done before the winter. That area is a real thorn in our side. It's still busy, but it's not the tightest area. It's an area that I could do under our current reclaim contract, where we could get in there, reclaim it, get asphalt injection, shape it, get a good road, grade it, pave it, and I don't think we'd have as much of an issue if we were to do that on the 9,000 feet of road.
I have two questions about that.
Yes.
How far up the Triangle Leg Road does that encompass?
Leggett,
Or Leggett,
as
sorry.
far as we want it to.
Alright.
You know, I typically try to like make the swings and make a clean cut.
Right.
We could do the whole triangle or we could leave it,
Well,
you know, I know where we're going, but.
my initial thought is there's also heavy truck traffic, obviously not as much on Pratt's, but there is substantial heavy truck traffic that goes, up Leggett. So my initial knee-jerk reaction is I think we should get at least a little bit past the triangle and do both. My second question. Have we been monitoring the water situation?
Yep, so there is still some bleeding coming out of the upper side of Leggett. I know we noticed it in the winter. I don't believe we ever had to treat it to the point where it got like hazardous or icy or anything like that. Nothing like what we did in the past. Our system that we put in last summer worked fantastic for what it worked for. However, if you remember, that system is not directly connected into any sort of sump pump or underground infiltration, if you remember.
Yes, I know there's two separate issues and one further up.
So, we do see it wet sometimes. It's not so much running water like we used to see. But that's kind of where we're at there.
So now I'm gonna ask for an opinion.
Okay.
Let's say hypothetically, we do the triangle and we cut it off
That's the
10
driveway.
feet up from the tip of the triangle, which is still south of the water that hits the road. Do you believe that there is a significant amount of water enough to affect the new pavement? And it's an opinion.
Yeah. I think any amount of water there would affect the new pavement. It's
Well,
just more of a matter of like.
So water is pavement's worst enemy.
Agreed.
We all know that.
Right.
However, every road has runoff, has jump in the road.
Groundwater,
We could go on about this forever. I'm just more curious, is that specific spot, is it worse than runoff? You know, again, it's an opinion.
To me, it's better than some of like the groundwater runs that we see. It's not an area that we like drive by and like, oh my God, this is a nightmare. You know, like we have a couple of those on Maple Street that we're constantly chasing. The way that the road's graded, most of it stays off the road. And it's such a small volume of water that by the time it was to go down Leggett and kind of turn towards Leominster Road, and then it's gone at that point. It never really makes it down
to the intersection, right?
But the winters have been changing,
Right.
weather-wise, water-wise, we're seeing more rain and things of that nature, that we have snow.
Yeah,
So we could say that this year, it might not be, it's one of those.
I know, nobody has a crystal ball.
right, right. It's one of those things where being in the triangle, I've never seen it make its way really to like affect Pratt's. And again, correct me if I'm wrong on
No.
any of this.
No, we didn't have any
It
issues.
never really makes its way down. So that's why, like I said, I usually would go up 10 feet or whatever. Like I said, I try to get the curves in or the radiuses in, find a straight spot on the road to cut it. And that's typically where we cut it.
Alright.
If I had no water issues there, I think I'd propose to do the whole triangle. But I'm also okay kind of waiting a little bit, when we do
Yeah.
Leggett, which needs to get done at some point. So. That's kind of,
Different opinions,
Yep.
but whatever, I mean, that's also logical.
The issue that we had there, definitely.
That was my main
yeah,
question.
that's gone.
And that's gone. That actually is the good part.
So moving on to the Maple Street sidewalk, so I think that's going quite well. If you've been up there, it looks a lot different. I think they came out really nice. There's a lot of little punch list stuff left. We have a wall to rebuild. It was, I don't know, about kind of on top of the sidewalk. There's the flashing crosswalk beacons, those are getting installed, I think starting tomorrow. And then there's just some unloading and seating and cleaning up to do. As part of that job, or as connection with that job, I think we're gonna mill out Bridge Street. Very short street, very highly traveled, in very tough shape. So instead of like reclaiming, grading, we're gonna mill it out with the mill, and we'll put back a couple good layers of asphalt, build our regular road over it, maybe bring in some base if we need to. It's such a short stretch that it's easy to do, and that will check that road off the list. It's right there. It's gonna tie in nice with the sidewalks, and it'll be a nice touch. So we're gonna get that taken care of as well. You'll see I added the cemetery wall evaluation, so that scope has been signed. That work is underway, or will be underway. So I told them, I said, I need budget numbers by the fall budget season. So I need this project done, this evaluation done, ideas and budgets by the fall budget season. Sweat Hill drainage upgrades, same exact deal. Signed the contract and said, I need a good construction cost estimate by the budget season. Pavement management, same deal, just don't need the cost estimate out of that. So that is, again, it includes both visual and a full AI scan of all of our streets. Transmitters and water meters have been going quite well. They have a giant stack of meters that we've replaced. I think done close to 150, maybe 200, in the last 2 months or so. So been cooking right along. It's fantastic to see those things come in and come off the old systems. Corrosion control study, we've been getting parts in fast and furious. And by study, I mean implementation at this point. We had a contractor core some holes at a couple of the pump stations, started running some conduit for some chemical tubing lines. So, and then we're gonna start kind of piping some of those in. We've had some new wet taps done for new injection quills and whatnot. So a lot of work at the pump stations going on right now. Redstone Hill water main. So last time we talked, we were trying to fund the project. We have figured that out. We've talked to Riccardi. I expect a letter of award to Riccardi this week. Riccardi, sorry. That will start the process of contracts, which takes a couple weeks, but then that work will be done before the winter. They'll get in whether it's summer or fall, one or the other. West Sterling generator replacement, same deal. So we worked with the contractor to cut out a couple quote unquote frivolous items that we didn't need. It saved us enough money to be able to award it. And the light department's also going to assist with some of the variable frequency drives, some of the energy saving pieces as part of what we're doing. Having done projects similar to this in the past, I can tell you that adding variable frequency drives, we will see a significant decrease in electric bills. Say we spend somewhere between $5,000 and $7,000 a month in the summer right now. I mean, I don't want to put a number on it, but we'll see a good decrease, and I'm looking forward to that. For the vehicles, the water truck is here.
that upfitting, based on what I heard this morning, is nearing completion. I think we had 2 more parts left that were coming in today or tomorrow for the inverter. And then, that's all set. I ordered the 2 small pickups that are coming, the one to replace the last water vehicle and the other water vehicle, and the one to replace the Ranger. So those are ordered. I don't really have a date, but I don't think it's going to be that long. And we're going to be upfitting those in house. Truck 9 is done at JC Madigan. Truck 9 is the hook and haul, the 550 with the switchable bodies. So that part's done. If you remember, the bodies themselves are on this budget. So that's the chip box, the sander, the dump body. But so by the time the truck itself is done, hopefully the bodies are in as well, and we'll be able to get everything as one package. It'll just bridge 2 different budgets, which is totally fine. We're definitely looking forward to having that vehicle. It's going to be another usable vehicle for us. As far as the lawnmower replacement, Jeff's been running around looking at all kinds of different lawnmowers, mostly standard style. We're looking to purchase 2 mowers, 136 and 152, along with leaf plows, catchers, detachers, things like that. We're kind of looking right now between Toro and Wright, meaning the Toro side, because most of our equipment is Toro right now. So we're looking forward to getting those as part of our fleet. I think that that'll work really well in some of our tighter areas, the cemeteries, things like that. And finally, the small paver, I still got to kind of work on that one. I did reach out to Ambrose Equipment. He never got back to me, which makes me think the salesman probably isn't there anymore. And I need to pick up a call. So but that's what that's.
Okay, that was the project update. Now we have the superintendent's update. Okay. Let's bring it in.
All right. So all of our crews did a phenomenal job preparing the cemeteries and grounds for Memorial Day. I want to thank them for their tireless work for the 2 weeks leading up. And I think their dedication to making the grounds look great really shows through the way they look. I got a lot of compliments, even though it was raining on the day of the parade. I got a lot of compliments on how everything looked. And I mean, there's nothing better to me than driving from the shop through the center down Clinton Road that time of year. It looks so good. So thank you to the guys for all their work. We completed our annual street sweeping the last week of May. This year it took a little less than 2 months. We definitely had some time off in there for Memorial Day and whatnot. So as we stop using sand and catch up with all this stuff, we just were able to kind of power right through these, which is great. At the select board's May 22nd meeting, they declared the week of May 29th through May 25th, as is kind of going back, as National Public Works Week in Sterling. I want to thank Dave Smith for spearheading that initiative. I didn't really pick up on it. Dave was like, you need to get this to us for a proclamation. So after that meeting, we received numerous deliveries of food and lunch from area residents, and want to thank them for making that proclamation. I included it in your packet. I have another last update on the beach. Our staff spent considerable time down there last week making final preparations for the summer season. This included removing stump grindings, loaming and seating areas, installing numerous no parking signs, and working with the fire and recreation department to install the beach wrap and the swim lines. I think the property looks great. They were looking forward to a good summer season. We recently installed several what they call safe to pass signs on our roads in town. These signs are part of a program through Mass DOT, which promotes a new state law that motorists are to give pedestrians and cyclists 4 feet to pass them. The signs were installed on 140, 62, and Chase Hill Road. So they gave us the signs. We went and picked up the posts. We installed them, sent them the locations. Didn't have to pay for any of them, but there's a new state law that motorists are required to give 4 feet to pass. I'm happy to report that as of today, we have a full staff of seasonal help for the summer. So we're up to 4, which is great. Our tongue-in-cheek sign that Jenna came up with worked out quite well. So thank you to her for that. And we filled it up. Old truck 18 was auctioned off, $1,450. That's about as much as that truck was worth. And that was picked up today. So adios. That was a trip.
Yeah.
No. Go to Ohio, by the way. So got a little bit of a trip There's an email in your packet from Town Administrator Bill Caldwell about a bill that Representative Meg Kilcoyne is filing in relation to access to MWRA water. For those that do not know, MWRA is the Wachusett Reservoir and Quabbin Reservoir that currently serves the Boston area. Meg is including all the towns in her district in the bill. That would simply give us an option to connect in the future without needing to go through years of government paperwork. It does not hold us to anything. It just gives us another option in the future should it pass or should we need it. The reason that I'm giving you this is because it's not uncommon for like news stations to pick up and throw a town in there. Sterling can now connect to MWRA and you guys be like, well, what is happening? But all her district towns are going on there because this is anyone's chance to get involved. I don't see anything changing in the future. I just wanted to let you know. One thing I did miss in the project update, but I'll do it now. It's in your packet, is a letter of support for the downtown revitalization for a grant. I sent it out to all three of you. Blaine came in and signed it. I ended up just CCing the other board members because it worked out easier. We were pretty short notice for that. So that grant has been submitted for that work. We're working on paving a section of Oak Hill Cemetery, potentially prior to the end of the fiscal year. We allocated some money in the FY24 operating budget and future budgets to perform regular resurfacing at the cemeteries. If you remember, we discussed it some time ago. The paving this year would include the entrance and small branches to the left, right, and straight ahead. Future years, we'd be able to go a lot further. However, that entrance chews up a lot of tonnage being as wide as it is. We're going to go a little thicker on the entrance because of the hill. It's constantly people braking going down the hill. So it chews up a lot of tonnage. We want to kind of keep it into a budget. And finally, if you're looking for me, I'll be on vacation starting Friday through next week. So I will not be found. Except for by phone. That's all I got on super update.
I got something that Paul and I met today at we have a resident whose property's been flooded routinely, mostly because of we finally cleaned out some culverts. The solution is not really the DPW's problem. And that's my assessment. So I'm going to go in there with a couple of volunteers and we're going to fix it for the resident. And we're starting sort of on following Andy's lead of many years to develop a sort of a citizens corps to sort of help people who are a little less fortunate, can't afford to fix some of their properties. And this is kind of like the first. And that's what we're doing. Now lawyers are screaming, everybody's screaming, but we're going to go into it. We're doing it anyway, because what kind of town do you want to live in? And I'm just letting everybody know that we're moving forward with it. What we're planning on doing, it's not really going to involve the town, but I think the approach is basically this, that if you're dealing with water runoff, we should talk it over with the DPW first before we do any work. If it has to do anything close to a road or a result of a road, it's just respectful and intelligent to keep you guys informed. And that's the goal. So it's fairly loose that we're doing it. We'll see how it works. And we'll tighten things up as we go along, I'm sure.
I have one future agenda.
Nice.
Thank you.
I'd like to, I'm going to try to bring Stan Tech, who's one of our engineers, in to discuss some water, well, and DEP issues and kind of a big picture of our future water supply. Aside from Crowley Road, our existing stations and whatnot, we have some stuff to talk about. So it's big picture stuff. It's going to mean a lot more coming out of their mouth than it will mine, because I'll fumble and bumble over words. And Mike and I sit in these conference calls with our heads spinning sometimes. So I'm going to bring them in. I'm going to try for July, if not July, August. July's kind of tough. So look for a presentation at a future meeting, about some of that stuff.
Got anything?
So Celtics.
Go Celtics, yes. You have anything?
I'm good.
Wow, that was
Good job.
good job. You went through
You
it.
gotta adjourn it. first.
We have to adjourn it.
What time?
Meeting adjourned at 7:46.